my friend and our first keynote speaker, Smiley. Adam Smiley Poswolsky is an incredible storyteller, an incredible keynote speaker. He has been speaking, and I've seen him develop his career speaking on stage and writing books about belonging in the workplace for more than a decade. His TED Talk has been seen more than 2 million times. He's spoken in countries all over the world. And I'm really excited for this talk. Smiley, please welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Marie. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Responsive. It's wonderful to be here. It's my first time at Responsive. Is it anyone else's first time? Awesome. Whoa, most of the crowd. I feel welcome. Do you all feel welcome? Excellent. Excellent. It's wonderful to be here. It's a true honor. It's a privilege. In my 10 years of working with some of the largest and most influential organizations in the world, I've really learned that there's one thing that they do to attract and retain top talent, to navigate an ever-evolving future of work, to drive massive innovation in HR and people leadership. And that is they build a culture of belonging. And I think we throw this word belonging out all of the time. We don't necessarily know what it means, but we know how it feels. We know it when we see it. We know it when we experience it. We know it when it's there, and we certainly know when it's missing, when it's not in the room, when it's not on the Zoom. Now, I first learned about belonging way back over 25 years ago, first week of high school, freshman year. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. I went to a very big public high school, over 2,000 kids, and I wanted to play a sport my freshman year. Now, y'all can see me. We're not on like a Zoom call or a Teams call right now. Like, I'm not that big of a dude. Football out of the question, not gonna happen. Soccer also out of the question. Our soccer team's like the best team in the state. So I went out for one of the only sports left, which was cross country. Now, I didn't even know what the sport was. I assumed it was skiing, but it's actually just running. You go run 3 miles or 5 miles or 10 miles on the weekends. So a couple weeks into practice, we're doing a hill workout, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're just running up and down a hill over and over again. So I'm outside, like New England, fall weather. I'm like, this is great. Getting exercise, having a good time. My coach is this hard-nosed Boston guy, and he just starts screaming at me. What the hell are you doing smiling, kid? Stop smiling. Stop puking, kid. Stop smiling. Stop puking, kid. Stop puking. After that, the team nicknamed me Smiley. I was the slowest kid on the team. I never placed at any of our races, but I was like our cheerleader. I get us pumped up before every single race. I ended up running cross-country, indoor, and outdoor track all 4 years, all 12 seasons. I even became captain my senior year. I was still the slowest kid on the team. But I had a role to play. I mattered. I belonged. And I think at its very core, at its very essence, that's what belonging is. This sense that every single person on our team, whether they've been with us for 20 years, for 2 years, for 2 weeks, they matter, they belong. And the problem is that most people go to work every day and they come home from work every day and they don't feel this basic sense of belonging. In fact, 70% of Americans right now are disengaged at their jobs. 70%. 40% of employees do not feel a strong connection to their coworkers. 40% don't trust their coworkers. 1/5 of these people are so disengaged, they're actively undermining their coworkers' work. They're literally getting paid by the company, the organization they work for, to screw things up for that company. Now, that should be a concern to all of you in the room, because you're people and culture and HR leaders. It means there's sometimes people on your team that feel like they shouldn't be there, that feel like they don't have a voice, that feel like they don't belong. But I really think it should be a concern to everyone, because it means that millions of people are waking up every day unhappy, unfulfilled. sometimes depressed, not showing up fully for themselves, for their colleagues, for their coworkers, for the world at large. So when I think about what does this mean in the context of the future of work and where we find ourselves today, right, in 2024, this kind of post-pandemic hybrid world we're living in, all of these things intersecting. First of all, AI. Will my job even be there? Will I have a job? Do I have time to even learn these skills that everyone says are so important? Will I even have a chance to be connected to my coworkers? Will I even meet my coworkers? They live in a different time zone. They live in a different country. I only see them on Slack, on Teams, on Zoom. Will I actually have the emotional capacity to do my work? 80% of workers right now are stressed. 30% are emotionally exhausted. And this is amidst all of these generational and economic shifts. Will there be a recession? Will my company continue layoffs? Will someone that's younger take my job? All of this stuff leading to overwhelm, to uncertainty, to disconnection. And if all of this in the context of 6 different generations, for the first time in history, 6 generations joining together every single day, as many as 6, every single day at work. Obviously, I don't think any of you have summer interns that are 14, 15, but those Gen Alphas, they're coming in quick. Gen Z, also called iGen, the smartphone generation. This is a generation that does not know a world without smartphones. It used to be that, like, double-clicking, that's what we used to do, double-clicking. That's too much work. Swipe right. I can swipe right and get a car, right? An Uber, a hotel, maybe find a job, maybe find a date. Didn't work so well for me, but it works for some people. And then these people get to the workplace, and they're like, you know, I've been here a couple days. I should probably be the boss. It's like, it's your third day. It's your third day. Between Gen Z and millennials, those folks make up 50% of the workforce. Some studies show that in the next 5 to 10 years, they will make up as much as 70% of the workforce because so many baby boomers are retiring. So I myself am an elder millennial. I also call us the Oregon Trail generation. It's like, we get it. We had technology. We had early email. We had AOL Instant Messenger. We got dysentery plague in Oregon Trail. But, like, if you met up with someone at 7 p.m. and they weren't there, like, you're going home. Like, you got stood up. Like, my Uber's late. Like, there's no Google Maps. Like, unless there's a payphone there, like, you're going home. Give it up for Gen X. We can clap. Give it up for Gen X. We never talk about Gen X. I guarantee if you go to a business conference anywhere in the world, there is not one session ever talking about Gen X. I think we need to talk more about investing in Gen X talent. And I think we often treat baby boomers as if they're already out the door. Well, these people are waiting for retirement. They're just here. We're missing out on the opportunity to learn, to grow, to gain from this wisdom and expertise. And people are working later and later into their lives, either out of financial necessity to provide for their families or because they love their work. So we need to create a workforce that works for everyone. I do want to swipe right a little bit on next-gen talent because I think it gives us clues into so many of the things that we're going to be talking about the next 2 days at Responsive. So many clues about where workplace culture is going. First of all, timely, fast, frequent, personalized content. Does anyone know the average attention span of a teenager right now? If any of you have young children, you'll know this. It is 20 seconds. 2 hours a day on TikTok, 20-second attention span. And then if someone comes and looks to us and is like, you know, I'd like to work here, and like, we'll get back to you in a few weeks. A few weeks? This person doesn't remember what happened 3 minutes ago. Now, I'm not saying we hire them on the spot, but that has to be a much more fluid conversation. That has to be faster. That has to be personalized. They are not applying for the role that the last person had 6 years ago. They're not even applying for the role that the person had 6 months ago. They're applying for the role that they can create. So when we talk about flexibility, it's not just work from anywhere, work from home, or hybrid. It's the ability to have agency and autonomy in terms of how your career is going to grow and develop it. A true commitment to diversity and inclusion initiatives. And this has become politicized, and I'm not going to talk about politics, but what I am going to talk about is facts. Facts. 50% of Gen Z are a person of color. 50%. 25% of Gen Z identifies as queer. And then folks get to the workplace and they do not see that diversity reflected among their fellow employees. their leadership, certainly among their board, and they start to ask questions, not just ask questions, but like, no, we're not just gonna talk about this, like we need to do something about this. Personal and professional success. It used to be that you expected your job to provide professional growth. Networking skills, I'm gonna kind of get a mentor, I'm gonna rise up the career ladder, like I'm going places. Increasingly, people are looking for their work, for their manager, for their supervisor, for their boss, for their culture to provide personal growth as well. A sense of thriving, a sense of how do I be an adult in this overwhelming, intense world? And a lot of people say to me, they're like, look, Smiley, I get it. Like, these people want me to be their mother at work. It's like, I'm not your mother, I'm your boss. Like, I'm not your father. Like, I pay you to do a job. Like, you are employed here. I get that. But if we flip that mindset just a little bit and say, you know what? Tell me more. What's on your mind? What are you thinking about? You know, have you listened to this podcast? Have you read this book? Have you had coffee with this person? When I was your age, this was really helpful. You know, you should really think about this. That person's going to do incredible work. A culture built on mental health and wellness. 66% of Gen Z expect that their culture is rooted, based in mental health and well-being. And it's not just Gen Z. 92% of all workers say that they expect their job to care for their emotional and psychological well-being. This is something that has changed. It used to be that we never talked about mental health at work. It's like, you got mental health stuff, like go see a therapist if you can get an appointment Tuesday night at 8 p.m. or on the weekend, because you probably can't because you're working so hard you can't get that appointment. It took a pandemic for us to start talking about the needs of working parents, of working mothers, of mental health in the workplace. It took a pandemic for us to start talking about this stuff. But this is where things are headed, okay? Why this matters so much and why we are here for the 2 days. If you look at the agenda, it's like, wow, there is a lot about connection. There is a lot about human connection. Why? We are in the midst of a loneliness epidemic raging across the United States and around the world. It was bad prior to 2020. It's only gotten worse. According to the Surgeon General, 50% of Americans are lonely. 50%. Loneliness is as dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It is literally killing people. Correlated with increased stress, anxiety, depression, heart disease, even early death. 80% of Gen Z and 70% of millennials are lonely. Wait, but Smiley, like these people are literally connected all day long. Literally all they're doing is texting, swiping, sending an emoji like they are the most connected people ever. Well, it turns out that swiping right or double tapping on a photo is not real human connection. It takes 90 hours with someone, IRL, in real life, for them to become a friend. 200 hours for them to become a close friend. So 1 in 5 people don't have someone right now for a close social conversation, which just breaks my heart. Friendship is at its lowest rate in 30 years. 15% of men have zero close friends at all, which leads to so many toxic outcomes: hate, violence, extremism. So that is why we're all here. And it's not just like, oh, Smiley, wouldn't it be nice if people were more connected? Like, this shows up every single day at work. Like, we shouldn't have to make the business case for this, but let's do it anyway. The cost of disconnected employees are incredible. More missed days at work, double the sick days, 45% lower productivity, lower quality of work, higher risk of turnover. They cost their employers $406 billion per year in lost productivity. And on the flip side, belonging is the cure. Belonging is the antidote. When you do not have to hide your true self at work, whatever that looks like for you, people are 9 points less lonely on the UCLA loneliness scale. When people have a best friend at work, employees who have a best friend at work are 7 times more engaged at their jobs. If you do not have a best friend at work, there is only a 1 in 12 chance you will be engaged at work. When technology is used to make meaningful connections, so not just say like, I need that by 4 o'clock, fill out this spreadsheet, but actually to foster growth and learning and understanding and connection. When we have shared goals with our colleagues, a sense of mission, a sense of vision and purpose. As leaders, culture leaders, we set that North Star. People know where we're going. We're on the boat together. We're headed in the right direction. People are less lonely. Simply picking up the phone and calling someone. Oh my gosh, imagine that. I could fire off this email to 6 people. It's going to lead to back and forth scheduling. Nothing's going to get done for 3 weeks. Or I could just pick up the phone and call this person and probably be done with this in about 2.5 minutes. Work-life separation. Notice that that doesn't say work-life balance. Why? I'm not sure that exists. I never found it. Maybe somebody did. Good for them. The ability to leave work at work. If you are not able to leave work, how can you connect with your coworkers, your family, your children, your community, your neighborhood? And that we as leaders model that so that we are on vacation or at the dinner table with our family. If we are firing off emails at all hours of the night, what is everyone on our team going to do when they're at home with their kids or when they're on vacation? They're going to work. So employees have low levels of belonging, more stress, more burnout, more loneliness, more anxiety and depression. High levels of belonging, more resilience, better well-being, more personal growth, 92% more professional growth. So this is a bottom line business issue. In addition to being the right thing for humanity, the right thing for a world that is suffering, this is a bottom line business issue. Not a nice to have, not a soft skill, an imperative. High levels of belonging, 56% increase in job performance, drop in turnover risk, reduction in sick days, 18 times more promotions, double the raises, 170% increase in the chance that you're going to recommend your job to somebody else, which results in an annual savings of $52 million for a large company. So I love this definition of belonging from Liz Fosslien and Molly West Duffy. Are they here right now? I know they're doing a talk later today. They're incredible authors of the book, No Hard Feelings, all about the power of emotions at work. Diversity is having a seat at the table, inclusion is having a voice, and belonging is having that voice be heard. So I think a lot of times we think we have belonging. Yes, we went around the conference room. Everyone said something, right? We ran around the Zoom, we ran around the Teams, everyone said something. Throw something in the chat, in the chat. Or the most common, we did a survey, Smiley, we did a survey. We did 2 surveys, Smiley. Belonging is something deeper. Belonging is, was everyone's voice in the room listened to? Was everyone's feedback on the survey paid attention to? Did we follow up with a couple comments that were like, ooh, that's hard to hear? Or this person, I never agree with anything they say. Like, that's the person we need to follow up with. That's the person we need to say, tell me more. Let's continue this conversation. And I can't solve that right away. We might not be able to solve that in 6 months. We might not be able to solve that in 2 years, but we're having that conversation. So when it comes to belonging at work, focusing on 4 things. This is research from COCOL, formerly the Center for Talent Innovation. Are people seen for their unique contributions? Do they feel connected to their coworkers? Are they supported in their daily work and career development? And are they proud of their organization's values and purpose? So I think what this means, connection in the age of distraction, in the age of overwhelm, in the age of AI, in the age of hyper-growth, stepping back, taking a deep breath, making eye contact. Is everyone listened to, accepted, and celebrated? Do people have time, not after work, not at happy hour, not once a year at an offsite, but every single day to connect, to play, to learn, to create with their team? Can people ask for help and receive care? Can your team share their gifts and find just a little bit more alignment in their life, in their work? Are we creating opportunity for firsts? This is the first time we've ever done this. This is the first time this person has shared this, for discovering others in a new light. So with the little time we have today, what I want to do is just suggest a couple simple kind of culture mindset shifts that I think can make this into practice, right? Make this actionable and as practical as possible, and have this be the starting point. As Robin said, we're not solving anything, we are nudging. We are beginning the discovery. We are beginning an ongoing journey that many of us are in every single day and have been for years. But first of all, shifting how we think about purpose. I think for a long time in the business world, for good reason, purpose is like the mission statement. I guarantee you, if we go to every single website of every company represented in this room, somewhere on there is, we're changing the world. Look at it, we're amazing. This is our impact, our global reach, this much assets under management. This is how much we've grown. We're in all these places. Look at what we've done. Look at who we've helped. Yes, of course, that is impact. and purpose. But I think in the new world, in this 2024 paradigm, the post-pandemic world, the hybrid world, the AI world, purpose is personal. It's about listening. Because what are people asking for amidst all this? Childcare. Or Tuesday at 3 o'clock, I gotta go pick up my kid. I don't have daycare. You know I get my work done. I'm gonna make it happen. We're good. Like, that's purpose too. That ability to listen and be flexible is purpose enough. So I think if you were to actually ask employees today what flexibility meant to them, they would be like, I want to work where I want, when I want, with whom I want, on what I want, how I want. This is not work. This is chilling on the beach, taking a vacation in Mexico, sipping a margarita. Like, this is not a job. But, within this, what are people actually asking for? The ability to reimagine their purpose and potential at work. You know, I don't really like working with this person. If we turn out, when actually turns out when we look at our data and surveys, 10 other people don't like working with this person. Maybe the problem isn't the employee, it's this manager, right? Or you can't be working on that right away, but maybe in a few months we can have that conversation. Like, that's what flexibility means. So I think so much of the conversation today around hybrid is on how many days a week in the office. Like, what's our hybrid policy? We gotta be in person 5 days a week, 3 days a week, 2 days a week, right? We gotta be in person. Now, what happens often is that people leave the breakfast table with their kid. They gotta put on pants, like, oh my God, I gotta take off sweatpants, I gotta put on pants, right? They leave that, they cut the breakfast short. They don't have time to exercise. They get in the car, they sit in traffic for 40 minutes, or they get on the metro, the bus, the subway. They finally get to their desk at work. Their boss who called the meeting isn't even there. They turn around and all of their colleagues are on wall-to-wall Zoom meetings all day long with noise-canceling headphones on. Like, why did I just sit in traffic for 40 minutes? Why did I not have an extra 20 minutes with my daughter this morning? Why was I not able to go for a run or exercise, right? And the flip side of that, which a lot of leaders, and we're seeing this in the news right now, one of the most largest companies in the world, 5 days a week. You got to be in 5 days a week. You don't like it, find a new job, right? If someone is not doing their job remotely, do you think they're doing their job at the office? No. So hybrid is not where we work. It's not how many days. It's how we connect. Are we making it worth it when we bring people together in person? Is there an intention behind that? And are we also not just saying, well, it's virtual time, it's remote time, good luck? Are we also creating human connection then? Are we designing for human connection when people are in the office, remote, virtual, hybrid, and everywhere in between? That's what the future of hybrid looks like. Practical tip here, thinking about Thrive interviews. So I think for a lot of time we've had this concept, obviously people know the exit interview, it's like it's someone's last day. Let me tell you everything that sucks about working here. It's like, this would have been helpful information a while ago. This has led to stay interviews. This is something Adam Grant talks a lot about, like what would make you want to stay here? What would make you want to stay working here? What if we were to take that one step further? Thrive interviews. What would make you thrive here? What do you need to thrive? And again, we are not checking every single thing off that list. The simple act of having that conversation is going to make someone feel like they have a greater sense of belonging. Shift number 2. From go talk to HR, like everything Smiley's talking about, like that's HR's job. Like that's the culture team. You have a diversity inclusion leader, like that's on them. That's culture, that's people ops. They're over there. I got my own crap to worry about. It is our job to make sure that everyone realizes that this is not HR's job. Belonging is everyone's job. Certainly every single leader in an organization, but every single employee, individual contributor, whether you've been with us for 20 years, for 2 years, for 2 weeks, belonging is your job too. Practical tip, not always talking about work. I think we're gonna really experience this in real life with conversation the next 2 days. Taking that 1 minute, that 5 minutes at the start of a meeting to have the check-in. What's going on? Where are you at? And people always ask, like, well, Smiley, like, what if I don't want to talk about my family? I don't want to talk about myself at work. Like, I'm just here to do my job. Cool. That person can just say, pass, skip. Not today. I'm good. But what they don't get to do is create the culture where other people don't get to share what's coming up for them. because some of those folks need that a lot. Small win parties. There's so much data and research that shows that the path to human flourishing is not actually about the huge milestones, right? Or that annual target or reaching that big sales goal or like this huge, it's about the little things along the way. Celebrating the little milestones along the way, having opportunities for curious conversations, for people to share mistakes and their doubts and their fears. Like, we got that wrong. I messed up. What do you think? That's going to create psychological safety. Shift number 3, from hustle to human connection. I think we've seen where hustle culture has gotten us the last couple of years. It's not that pretty of a place. We've moved very fast. We've broken many things. The average employee now switches between applications 1,100 times a day, sends and receives 125 business emails per day, checks their inbox hundreds of times a day, checks email or Teams every 6 minutes. So I'm not sure how it's possible to get any real work done when this is the case, but more importantly, I'm not sure how it's possible to have time and intention for human connection when this is what we're up against. We have to design for human connection in a world that's constantly moving, that's constantly distracted, wall-to-wall Zoom meetings, Teams meetings all day long. Practical tip here, making onboardings and trainings about community building, right? So I talked to my friend Joanna Miller, who used to be the head of learning and development at Asana. She's incredible. She was running onboarding for Asana during the pandemic. They hired hundreds of people virtually during the pandemic. Now, it is incredibly difficult for anyone to start a new job remotely, but for someone whom it's their first or second job out of school, they're in their 20s, early 30s, like, it is incredibly difficult to start that new job. And Joanna told me that what people most got out of onboarding was not like, here's how we do things here, here's how to set up your email, here's your JD, here's everything you're responsible for. It was, did they make a new friend during onboarding? Could they turn to someone else and be like, I don't really understand what's happening here. Me neither, let's be friends. Or I don't really agree with what he's talking about. Me neither, let's be friends. Like, that was the success of onboarding, right? So when we bring people together for offsites, Jenny Sauer-Klein's going to do an amazing session later about the power of offsites and how do we design these offsites intentionally and with human connection in mind. This is the opportunity for community building, right? This is an incredible opportunity. We can send out the PDFs, right? Yes, this is important. We have content, we have compliance, we got to get through all the material. And if we are bringing together people once a year, once a quarter, even a couple times a quarter, like, that is such an incredible opportunity for community building. To reimagine team building, right? So Adam Rosendahl and Forrest Stearns are going to do an incredible session tomorrow all about late night art. Is our team building, are we doing the happy hour thing still? I don't even have a friend that drinks anymore. We're still doing the happy hour thing? Like, you can't even find someone to get a drink with anymore. Happy hour, this is like the most uninclusive activity ever, right? 5 o'clock, like that's like the middle of the day. Like, no. Is our team building an opportunity for personal growth? For doing something I've never done before, haven't done since I was a kid, like drawing or painting or hearing someone tell a story or doing an activity or going on a trip or seeing your boss or someone who's senior make a mistake or fall flat on their face or get silly and weird and playful. Like, that's what team building is in the future of work. Shadowing opportunities for next-gen talent. Yes, of course, we have mentorship. That's always been important, always will be. I think in the new paradigm, the actual shadowing, like, oh my gosh, in person, like I'm actually following them around the office. Yes, 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 because this might be their very first experience ever in an office building. Ever. Right? And we're expecting them to kind of run business for us, but they actually haven't been around someone or seen how they move through the space or conduct a meeting or hire somebody, right? Or manage an HR team. Shadowing opportunities. So I actually had the opportunity to talk to several of you in the room about how this is showing up for you in terms of your day-to-day work, how you're fostering a sense of belonging and connection, or just how you're thinking about it. So is Michelle here? Excellent. Give it up for Michelle, founder and CEO of Slate. She founded Slate 12 years ago. It's a leadership coaching and career transition coaching platform. Tyler Plant, where's Tyler? Give it up for Tyler, Chief Revenue Officer of Simply 5. It's been there for 2 years. This is a platform that's all about kind of personalized metrics, understanding how your colleagues do their best work, and a technology platform and tool for that. Prior spent 20 years in the wine industry. Nikki Jean, where's Nikki? Nikki here? Nikki's amazing, director of people and social responsibility, director at Rhymesayers Entertainment, which is an independent hip-hop label based out of Minneapolis. Nikki's been there on staff for 4 years. She's also an incredible singer-songwriter, acclaimed musician. She's collaborated with Lupe Fiasco. She's written songs with Bob Dylan and Carole King. She's incredible. So here are a few things they shared. This idea that hybrid requires purposeful connection, right? Starting with that opening check-in, you should know. Nikki talked about the importance of changing who picks the weekly question, right, in the room. Changing who picks that mindfulness moment, understanding that there are many paths to wellness. Focusing on the human skills. Tyler mentioned it's not about me, it's about you. It's about knowing your team's work styles and preferences so you can lead high-performing teams from a place of empathy. Michelle was talking about how Slate's growth philosophy, which I love, individuals grow with a safe space, focused goals, and small step micro experimentation. This idea of building bridges across generations and across differing backgrounds and from different groups is all about building a shared vision. Tyler was talking about having a North Star unifies people across generations in their office and is a rallying cry. Nikki talked about if you believe in this shared mission of artists should have sustainable careers and artists and musicians should have sustainable, viable careers, you should work here. Michelle talked about what is our shared company story? How do we want people to feel when they interact with us? So I just wanted to thank those folks for kind of making this a little bit more about them. Closing out here, from growth at all costs to a care mindset. So we talk a lot about growth and we have these exponential growth and we're all focused on growth. But I think we actually get the growth we're looking for when we double down on care, when we put our people first, when we start with a care mindset. So I can't tell you how many events I've gone to where I finish a speech or later in the day and then someone gets up there at the end and is like, you've all been great, thank you so much. Everybody check your app, you got Headspace on there and Calm and all. And I'm just like, I didn't do a good enough job there. Like, don't think I delivered my point enough. It's not to say that these tools aren't amazing, like meditation, mindfulness are amazing, but that's not what this is about. That is not a well-being strategy. A well-being strategy is, we should have a 4-day work week, or we should not have meetings on Wednesdays, or if you need to take that afternoon off because something's going on, you're taking care of your sick kid or your mom or someone in your family, or you just need a day, take it. A well-being strategy is hiring enough people so that people do not feel overworked. Like, that is a well-being strategy. So let's get real about that. And on the individual level, if that's the systems level, little acts of kindness in this new world do matter a lot. This is what people remember. When you actually ask people, what makes you feel belonging at your company? Like, how do you feel a sense of belonging? It's not these grandiose things sometimes. It's, they remembered my kid's birthday or my mom's name, or when my family was sick in the hospital, they sent flowers, or they know my favorite coffee order, or my favorite sandwich from my favorite spot, like they know. Like, that's important, that sense of kindness, that sense of like, I was thinking about you. Simply sending a gratitude text to someone on your team out of the blue and being like, here's why I'm appreciative of you, I really care about you. The person sending it, it's like, it's whatever, it's just a text. The person who receives it, it's like, that made my day. Like, that's the most important thing that happened to me all month. So I'm going to close here with a story that gets at the heart of what I'm trying to leave you with all today as we go off for these next 2 days of learning and growth and connection. I think this gets at the heart of really what I want to leave you with. So I made this big move in my career. I've been living on the East Coast. I moved out to the Bay Area, to San Francisco, to follow a dream about 12 years ago of becoming an author, right? Now, it turns out San Francisco is like the most expensive city in the world to live in. And being an author is like really hard. Like, it's really hard. It's not really economically viable. Like, I had probably made a big mistake. I should have quit my job. Can I go get my old job back? So one night, I'm in the Mission on Valencia Street, biking home, on my way to get some tacos. And all of a sudden, this guy bikes alongside me and says, my name's Bernat, I'm from Spain. I was like, I don't know who the hell you are. So I tried to bike away. He keeps biking alongside me. My name's Bernat. I'm from Spain. I was like, who is this person? You leave me alone. He keeps biking alongside me. My name's Bernat. I'm from Spain. I'm a designer. I live in Barcelona. I'm looking for a design job here in the Bay Area right now. There's no jobs in Spain. There's so much unemployment. And I said to him, oh, interesting, Barcelona, beautiful city. I got to visit once. I had a friend that was living here. Like, that's the most beautiful place I've ever visited in my life. He's like, yeah, Barcelona's really nice. He's like, well, what are you up to? How do you spend your days? What are you working on? Well, I tell him I'm writing this book about people trying to find more meaning and purpose and more belonging in their lives. They're really lost. I'm trying to help them. And he's like, well, do you have a cover designer yet? I was like, no. He's like, well, go home, check out my website. Maybe we can work together. So I go home, I get tacos first, obviously. Then I go home, I check out this guy, Bernat's website. I was like, this guy's pretty good. Like, he's a pretty good designer. He had like a portfolio on his website, sample of his work. I was like, this guy's pretty good. So I post on Facebook later that night. I just met this wild guy, Bernat, while I was biking home tonight in the Mission. He hails from Spain, from Barcelona. He's looking for a design job here in the Bay Area. If you know of anything, let him know. A few minutes later, my buddy Yi comments on the Facebook thread. Oh, Bernat should talk to my friends. They're doing this mobile startup in Palo Alto, California. There's like 5 of them. They don't really know what they're doing. They don't have a lead designer yet. Maybe they can work together. A couple weeks later, Bernat meets with the team. He gets hired to be the lead designer for this tiny mobile startup in Palo Alto, California. He gets a work visa to stay in the United States, which is a very big deal for him. So much unemployment in Spain, where he's from. He sends me a quick thank you note, but a couple years go by, I don't really hear from the guy. Like 2.5 years after that, I get a text message from Bernat out of the blue. Smiley, I'm taking you out to dinner anywhere you want to go. I was like, sweet, I'd love to get taken out to dinner. I'm broke, I'm an author, like free food. This is wonderful, let's go. So we go out to a nice meal. We go to Foreign Cinema, great restaurant, get a bunch of food, bottle of wine. I'm like, what's going on, man? Why are you taking me out to dinner? Turns out the mobile startup he had been working for had just been acquired by Yahoo for $80 million. He's the fifth employee at the company. He's paid entirely in equity. Like, he definitely could afford to take me out to dinner. And he says to me, Smiley, thank you, man. Thank you. This wouldn't have happened if not for you. And I said to him, nah, man, thank you. Because this guy talked to a random stranger in a city he didn't live in a country he wasn't from, on a bicycle. Like, who the hell does that? So I think what I'm getting at here is that we have to create the culture on our teams, in our organizations, at Responsive, where people can make those big, bold asks, where they can channel their inner Bernat, where they can go outside their comfort zone, where they can speak their truth, where they can say what's on their mind. And we're not going to be able to say yes all the time, even 50% of the time, but we create that culture where people feel seen and heard and celebrated for who they are. And I think if we do that, we create a culture of belonging and human connection, not just in this room, not just at Responsive, not just in the Bay Area, but for our teams, our organizations, and most importantly, for the communities and cities and neighborhoods who so desperately need it right now. So thank you all so much. It was wonderful to be here.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much, Smiley. All right. So we are going into breakouts. We have 4 incredible sessions for you. I'll be back on a little bit later this morning with some housekeeping and some logistics, but I'm just going to help you with some wayfinding right now. All of the sessions are down the hallway, just when you come out of the JMT and go down the hallway. They're all along the hallway on the left-hand side. But first and foremost, on this main stage with Marie and Roy in conversation about questioning truths of entrepreneurship. An incredible conversation. It's going to be brief. It's going to be 30 minutes, and you do not want to miss it. Gail Karen Young-White is going to be talking about coherence as a strategic capability in the Women's Board Lecture Hall. Jenny Sauerklein, who, by the way, co-founded Acro Yoga before moving into the work that she does today, the global movement of Acro Yoga, is going to be talking about how to design offsites that actually matter in the California room. And we are going to be having an incredible session on centralizing in order to decentralize with the Chief Information Officer at UCSF in the Learning Center. All of that is also on the website and into your printed brochures. So for the next 50 minutes or so, I send you off into 2 breakouts, and please enjoy.